Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with a new series. The name of this series is What If Naruto Was a Psychopath, and it's a story by V Vendetta. And if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And as you have guys guessed, I have already uploaded the next part of What If Naruto Was Separated from his family. If you haven't checked that out, please check that out as well. And without further ado, let's continue our story. "Get the fuck out of here, scum!" a villager yelled in his drunken stupor, throwing a bottle at a young child with sun-kissed hair, tan skin and 3 whisker marks on either side of his cheeks. The boy in question was the mere age of 5, having lived on the streets for a year now. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, and he was the current para of his beloved village, the village hidden in the leaves. 5 years ago, the nine-tailed fox attacked the village in blind rage, only for the 4th Hokage to stop it by sealing it within young Naruto at the cost of his life. Hence that day, Naruto was then marked as the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. He was often chased by 1 or 30 villagers, some ninja accompanying them as well. But the crafty boy managed to escape serious harm most of the time. 1 out of 10 times he would end up in the hospital only to be discharged the same day. He didn't know what made him heal so fast, but he was grateful for it. His life in the village was about to be thrown upside down, tossed in a washer with said washer thrown in a tornado, with the washer finally coming out twisted and a different washer entirely. "Get the demon!" another village called out, a small mob forming upon the young Naruto. Naruto looked behind him and uttered a small curse that no 5-year-old should know. But nonetheless, the boy plowed on, turning in an alleyway only to bump into someone, landing with a small oof sound. He gazed up to see a male in a purple dress suit, a flower on the left side, white gloves, and a green vest underneath the dress jacket. The male had striking green hair, a pale white face, almost if someone covered it in white paint, black eyes, shadow over his eyes, red lipstick over his mouth, his lips being stretched into a wide grin. "Aim? What the male asked, turning around to gaze at the boy. "Get lost, kid." However, the male saw the mob turning into the alleyway, his beady green eyes gazing down at the small boy, connecting the dots, his eyebrow furrowed in slight anger at the thought of someone beating this kid. Before a facet of calm indifference crossed his features, he knew what it was like to be beat, and he had seen the kid around the village a few times, begging for food. The male supposed he could, lending a helping hand or some explosive. In his place, he clapped his hands together, his grin seemingly to grow bigger. "Ah, hello there, compadres. Glad you could join the party. Get out of here, clown. We got unfinished business with the kid," the leader called out, alcohol deep on his breath. The male faked an hurt image as he placed a hand on his chest. "Why, that was rather rude of you. Didn't your mother teach you many manners?" He nudged Naruto behind him with his foot, the boy watching in shock. Someone was standing up for him. The mob squeezed into the alleyway before the clown-like man held out his hand. "Put her there, partner." The drunken male gazed down at the hand in confusion before shaking it hesitantly. The next moment, electricity lit up the small alleyway. As the smell of burning flesh reached everyone's nostril, the man dropped the dead body before his grin grew. "Would anyone else like to shake?" The mob started to look at the man in fear before they all vanished, stumbling and pushing each other over, trying to get away. Once they were gone, the male turned and crouched down next to Naruto, extending a hand. "No way!" the 5-year-old cried out, indignantly crossing his arms. "I saw what you did to the bad man. I'm not falling for it." The male let out a laugh, one that was high-pitched. "You're a sharp cookie, kid. What's your name?" Naruto." "Why did you help me?" "Because, kid, I used to be like you, abused and neglected." Then again, shrugged it off and began to smile. "And look, I can't stop smiling now." The male pointed to his mouth, showing his wide, permanent grin. "Thank you. What is it your name was again?" Naruto inquired. "My name? Why, young Naruto, I'm the Joker." The clown-like man identified himself before putting away his buzz shocker, stowing it away in his pocket. "And I would like to train you, to teach you to never stop smiling, no matter what. Would you like that? I could teach you to be forced to be reckoned with." He held out his hand, eyes shining with delight when Naruto grasped it. "You'll be like a son to me, Naruto," the Joker promised. "Now let's get out of this stupid village, eh?" "But what about the old man?" Naruto questioned. "Oh, don't worry. I'm sure the old man will be just fine without you. Besides, he has a village to run, right? Don't you think?" He surely won't mind if you go on a vacation. The Joker reasoned, manipulating the small child. Naruto nodded, and the Joker grins widened. All right, then let us off we go. The two then left the village under the cover of night, the Joker knocking out anyone who crossed his path with his trusty crowbar. That night, Naruto Uzumaki's life was thrown upside down, thrown in a washer with the washer going through a twister and coming out demented and twisted, a brand new washer. Link break. 11 years later, Kakashi and Asuma exchanged glances, watching as a clone of Zabuza Momochi slowly stalked towards three Genin teams. Team 7, Team 10 respectively. It was supposed to be a simple C-rank mission escorting our bridge builder by the name of Tazuna back to his home in a wave country. Help him finish the bridge then leave. They never said anything about encountering a Chunin level ninja or Jonin, the demon brothers Gozu or Meizu. Were easy enough to handle though, but Zabuza Momochi was on an entirely different level. The only reason they continued onwards was due to the stubborn determination of one member on Kakashi's team, named Shogo Kita, who was teammates with Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Shogo insisted they continue and that nothing could defeat and deter them, and they could handle anything in their way. The boy had spunk, but his loud mouth has gotten him in trouble more than times that they could count. Heh, seems that your brats are going to die, Zabuza chuckled out, watching his clones still walking towards them with a calm easiness, knowing that with the Jonin taken care of, the cannon and the bridge builder were none of his concern. Sasuke, what do we do? Sakura whispered out, watching the Uchiha. She was founding fangirl of the Uchiha fan club that started up in the academy, quickly gaining a rival in her ex-best friend Ino Yamanaka. She gripped a kuna in her hand, shaking at the sight of the Zabuza clone, steadily approaching closer. Shikamaru, do you think you can stop the clone with your jutsu? Sasuke asked, turning to gaze at the lazy Junin. Normally Sasuke wouldn't even bother for help, but it was a matter of life and death as of right now. The boy in question let out a quiet sigh as he contemplated the distance between themselves and the clone. Not at this distance. Whenever he gets closer, maybe. But it's iffy. Came to slow reply as Shikamaru analyzed his opponent. His two teammates, Choji Akamichi and Ino Yamanaka, were guarding Tazuna along with Sakura and Sasuke. However, Choji looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there at the moment, and Ino looked close to fainting. The clone withdrew his sword from behind his back, gripping it tightly within his hands as he began to charge at the group of Genin, his sword dragging behind him, tearing up the ground. Prepare to die, he roared, quickly approaching before swinging the sword upwards to effectively dispose of the bridge builder. And again, however, before the sword could get halfway into the swing, a cannonball came out of nowhere, dislodging the sword from the clone's grasp and making both explode into a shower of water. What the? Sasuke uttered out, looking around. Where the hell did that came from? Zabuza was quickly and easily surprised, gazing around for the unseen opponent. He peered up into the trees to where his accomplice would be, only to see no one in the sight. Oh, that can't be good, he muttered out quickly, creating two more clones that went straight for the target, only to be wiped out by a piano and a card. What the hell? The Jonins kept their cool for the moment, surveying the area. In the distance, he spotted a shadow and quickly threw a kunai at said shadow, only for the kunai to be engulfed by the shadow and returning as a fireball. Zabuza jumped over the fireball and cursed, "This is getting ridiculous. Show yourself, you coward!" The sound of someone coming out of the water behind him caused the demon of the hidden mist to turn around quick enough to give any normal civilian whip slash. The Jonin struck out with his sword, only for it to be countered with a crowbar. Zabuza's eyes widened slightly as he stared at his opponent. "You!" His opponent's eyes danced from behind his mask as he quickly pushed Zabuza back, a clone tripping him, while another scissor kicked him into the water, effectively releasing Kakashi and Asuma. "What the? Who's that?" Sakura asked, peering out through the fog. The mystery man put away his crowbar before walking over to pick up Zabuza, grunting under the sword's weight. Heavier than you used to be," the voice stated, before it broke out into a laugh. Kakashi and Asuma stared at Zabuza as Zabuza launched out of the water, and with rage, they feared of the stranger. "Oh, come on, Zabuza, surely you can do better than that," he taunted, waltzing over the missing mist ninja. "Hell, even Haku did better than you're doing right now." Sadly to say, she's currently, well, disposed of. So that means she's not coming back. Zabuza turned around, slamming his fist into the male's face, only for the body to vanish in a puff of smoke. Bingo! She's dead, mate. And you could have prevented that, the male said nonchalantly, striking Zabuza twice in the midsection. Stop clowning around. Zabuza roared out, only for water to be sprayed in his face. He looked around, but nothing could be seen. He let out a growl of irritation, swinging and kicking before he backflipped away. That's it! I'm going to drown you, you clown! He quickly began to grow through hand signs, cackling like mad. All the while he did it. Leave, son. The voice questioned. The male turned to Kakashi and Asuma. You guys may want to grab your genin and get up to a tall tree, maybe. The male then turned back to Zabuza, the meat cleaver-like sword embedded in the ground. Let's see if you can get your sword back, Zabubu. The voice taunted, causing Zabuza to speed up the hand seals. Kakashi and Asuma appeared next to the bridge builder. You heard the man. Let's move now, Kakashi said seriously, grabbing onto the bridge builder and Sakura, while a crone gripping Sasuke and Shogo by the shoulder. Team 10 followed suit. The two squads from the Hidden Leaf village safe in tree. Asuma was that who I think it was? Everyone gazed outward as the fog lifted, showing the male and Zabuza locked in combat. The male was wearing a painted clown mask, something so simple yet so frightening, painted white with red lips, where the boy's mouth would be, and two eye holes for him to see out of it. That was it, yet that seemed to be strike fear in Zabuza's heart. The male had a long, flowing purple trench coat, black slack, and standard combat boots. Underneath the trench coat, he had a mesh shirt, underneath an armored vest, standard chunin or jonin vest. The blonde, sun-kissed hair jutted out from behind the mask, giving Kakashi and Asuma further suspicious as to who their mystery man was. My memory is fuzzy, but I think so. Asuma agreed, scratching his head in a confused manner. Who, Asuma-sensei? Who are you talking about? No questions. However, her question fell on deaf ears as Zabuza finally finished his attack. Water style. Great tsunami jutsu, Zabuza called out. The lake behind him rushed forward to engulf the mystery opponent. The wave rushed forward, washing over the opponent and sweeping him away. See, I told you I'm gonna drown you, you clown. Zabuza panted out, the jutsu taking quite a toll out of him, and the chakra as well. He walked forward only to trip as a hand erupted out of the ground, pulling him down to his shoulders, his neck and head still jutting out of the ground. The mystery man popped out with a grin, Zabuza's eyes widening. Why won't you just die? Oh, come on, Zabi. You gotta know. It'll take more than that to kill me. He shrugged, electricity sparking in his hands, dancing from his fingertips. Please, not that jutsu, Zabuza cried out. Sorry, Zabi. It seems that your ship is sailing. You should have taken my offer 2 years back. Without another thought, the man clasped his hands down on Zabuza's head, electrocuting him and blinding the ninja nearby due to how much electricity there was. His jutsu done, the man pulled back and showed his glove hand into the pocket, turning away from the head and whistling to himself. What is this guy? Shikamaru muttered out, his eyes wide. Oh my god, Sakura whispered, a hand reaching over to cover her mouth. Holy shit, Choji breathed out. Is that clown makeup? Ino wondered. So it's him, Kakashi confirmed. Seems so, Asuma agreed as well. Sasuke stared down at the face of Zabuza Momochi. The bandage is gone from his face. The Jonin face remained relatively normal, except there was no bright red lipstick on the male's lips. His mouth stretched into a huge grin. What the hell is this? Sasuke muttered. Don't you just love my handiwork? The male from before questioned, causing Ino and Sakura to shriek as he was right behind him. Seeing Kakashi and Asuma draw their weapons, the male put his hands up in a friendly manner. Don't worry, I'm not going to harm you. Besides, why would I want to hurt Smokey the bear and Ino the dog? Kakashi's eyes widened as the male grinned widely. Yup, I remember you, Kakashi Hatake. Naru. Kakashi started hesitantly, only for the man to hold up his index finger and shush Kakashi, further confusing him. Where was the blonde child he used to watch? That was a mere 5-year-old. And who was this teenager in front of him? Was this really the man known as the Laughing Ace in their bingo book? What happened to him? Oh, I don't use that name anymore, Hatake. I simply prefer Smiley. I mean, as you can see, I love smiling and I prefer to make others smile as well. The boy gave a small chuckle, mirth in his eyes. The rest of the cannon were wondering if this boy was delusional, psychotic, or rather just weird. I Are you going to try to stop us? Ino questioned. Speaking of after a moment, she wished she hadn't said anything when his piercing blue eyes gazed up at her before flickering back to Kakashi. Oh no! I have no reason to harm any of you. Zabuza and me just had an old score to settle, that's all. The boy shrugged before leaping out of the tree. Perhaps. I'll see you around sometime, Leaf Ninja. The boy then proceeded to laugh, a hyena-like laugh. Said laugh alternating in pitch and tone before it ended on a high note. The mercenary known as the Laughing Ace simply disappeared in a cloud of green and purple, leaving the ninja from the hidden leaf alone with the body of Zabuza Momochi. No one noticed the absence of his sword either. Well, that was troublesome. Shikamaru let out a yawn and everyone else could only agree to him. Link Rig, the whole Sensei, just who was that guy? Sakura questioned. The question burning in the cannon's mind since the man known as the Laughing Ace disappeared. He was completely terrifying, everyone agreed, but they couldn't help the curiosity that arisen after encountering him. Kakashi looked over at his student. The 8 ninjas surrounding Tazuna reclined as they continued to walk towards his home. He breathed out a short sigh, wondering how to explain himself. However, it appeared he didn't have to, as Ino spoke up. The Laughing Ace, as the bingo books calls him, is a mercenary and a wild card. Not much is known about him except for his presumed age, which is from 14 to 18, or within that number. And then he appeared 4 years ago. Since that time, he completed 0 D ranks, 55 C ranks, 10 B ranks, 1 A rank, and 1 S rank mission. He was said to have had a mentor from which he got his clown-like persona from, but that part isn't exactly known. Other than that, the man is a mystery, Ino explained. And how would you know that, Ino Pig? Sakura looked at her rival, crossing her arms. Well, Billboard bro, I'm training to go into the interrogation department back at home as soon as I become a chunin, so I have to know everyone in the bingo book, Ino replied haughtily, turning her nose up at the pink cat. Sakura merely frowned at Ino's behavior, dismissing it out of her mind. That's correct, Ino, and I'm proud of you for knowing that information, Asuma said with a smile, causing Ino to smile at her sensei. However, that doesn't mean you have to shove it in others' faces, especially your comrades. The smile quickly faded from her face as she nodded. But that still doesn't explain what he was doing, saving our asses considering on how close Zabuza came to skinning them. He chewed on his cigarette in thought as the group entered the small town of Wave Country. Well, Kakashi rubbed his chin in thought before responding. He did say that he and Zabuza had some unfinished business and that Zabuza should have taken his offer 2 years back. Now if only we could find out what that offer was. He shrugged, giving a nice smile. Oh well, it seems that we'll never know. The genin of Team 7 let out a groan at their sensei's attitude, while Team 10 merely rolled their eyes at the lazy jonin. Is this what it's like all the time? Shogo asked, seeing the distraught and downtrodden faces of the inhabitants of the small town, offering an apple to a kid and his mother smiling as they ate. Yes, Tazuna said solemnly, Kato has been ruling over this town with an iron fist for about 3 years now, and no one could stop him. Sasuke implored, raising an eyebrow. One tried and failed, being executed publicly for doing so. Tazuna replied, pushing his straw hat down as his eyes in an attempt to hide the tears that were building up. So whoever was publicly executed was close to Tazuna, a family member. Shikamaru wondered, gazing at their client as his mind raced to fit the pieces together of their very incomplete puzzle. The lazy Nara put it to the back of his mind as they continued to walk through the town. Publicly executed? That's horrible. But don't worry, we'll stop this Karo guy. You can count on us, Shogo said with a grin, causing Tazuna to smile slightly at the kid's enthusiasm. Let's hope so, kid, Tazuna grunted out as they finally made it to their house. While the Leaf Ninja were getting settled down for the time being while their mission was still underway, a certain mercenary was in Wave Country sitting in a bar waiting for their client. The man known as the Laughing Ace or Smiley had his trench coat trapped over his chair, right leg crossed over the left in a bored manner, as he stirred his coffee. He didn't detest tea, but his mentor taught him the joys of coffee, the caffeinated drink, helping him so on the long nights or whenever he was extremely tired. He smiled fondly behind his mask at the few memories that surfaced within his mind, at the man who taught him all he knew. Flashback start. Alright, Naruto, this is the first part of your training. Learning to laugh at almost anything, the pains of others, deaths, destruction, and chaos. Oh, it's so wonderful. The Joker cackled, rubbing his hands together. See, just watch. Pulling out his playing card, the clown prince of crime experimentally threw it, impaling a squirrel with deadly accuracy before issuing a small giggle. Wasn't that funny? Naruto offered a small smile, shrugging. I suppose, but wouldn't explosive or something be better? He rubbed under his nose. Suddenly shy when the Joker green eyes gleamed in interest. I mean, I was a prankster back in my town. Despite being 5, I decided to get back at the villagers for beating me. So I painted their clothes, tagged their walls, or made a few toilet explodes. Naruto admitted. Oh Naruto, you're going to become a force to be reckoned with. Just you wait. As for the explosive, let's see what old Joker got in the bag for... Yeah, full of goodies. The Joker replied with a gleam, pulling out a courier bag as he began to pull out an assortment of gadgets and gizmos. Nope, not that one. A fish flew out, landing on top of the ground. Nuh-uh, a rubber duck, followed by a bang flag. A boxing glove attached to a string that was quickly joined by a pie that had frosting over it. Said frosting steamingly slightly. Naruto was curious as to what it was, but paid no attention as Joker thrusting something into his hand. Aha! Found something just for you, kiddo. Naruto looked down to gaze upon the deadly grin of the homemade grenade, painting in the Joker's visage. Well, try it out. Just pull the pin and throw. Joker instructed. Naruto looked hesitant before doing as he was told, giving it a small throw. His 5-year-old arm wasn't quite long enough or strong enough, so the grenade landed at least 5 foot away. His eyes widened as he started to run, only for Joker to grab his wrist and hold him back. Joker? Naruto blinked, fearing for the explosion that was about to come. However, Joker merely grinned and pointed. The grenade didn't do anything, just lay there on the ground. Where's the moon? The 5-year-old questioned. Well, I think it may be a dud. Let the crown prince of crime give it a swing. The Joker then proceeded to pull out a golf club from his bag, complete with a golfer's cap, before he walked over to the grenade. He got in a ridiculous stance, shaking his butt slightly before rearing back and swinging the club at the grenade. Said grenade flew off into the air, landing somewhere in the forest before an explosion rocked the air surrounding woods. Aha! See? Just needed a good swing. The Joker began to cackle, Naruto soon joining in, trying to mimic the clown. Now, how about we go test it on some people? Joker asked, his hands clasped together. Seeing young Naruto pulled out a grenade with a deadly grin, Joker's own lips soon matched Naruto's. Oh, they would be in a fun together. Chaos, destruction, and fire. End of the flashback. Smiley looked up from his coffee to see a man with a briefcase sitting down across from him. His cruel blue eyes boring into the man's sunglasses. The clown-like mercenary watched as the man shifted slightly in the seat. Ahem, Mr. Smiley? The man asked hesitantly, straightening his tie. The mercenary merely nodded, jetting a finger upwards to point at the red smiling paint on his mask. The client nodded, opening the briefcase and sliding it over to him. I wish to get rid of this man. You see, I work for Gato, and it appears that Zabuza has fallen to the enemy ninjas protecting him. His partner as well. Would you be interested in taking Zabuza's cut, as well as 1,000 or more? You see, this bridge builder is a thorn in my business side, and has to be taken care of. Smiley nodded, hands clasped together as he regarded the man with critical eye. Gato will probably try to eliminate me as soon as the job is done. So why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? A pig and a whole lot of guys at the same time. I think my plan will work better for me. He grinned underneath his mask like psychotically, and he nodded. Sure, I'll help ya, old Gato. Where do I sign? Oh, you don't need to sign. Just merely follow me back to Gato's hideout, so you two can discuss something and business together. The man assured, sticking out his hand. So we have a deal. Smiley eyed him to light up with a glee at the outstretched hand, so the man quickly considered retracting it, only for Smiley's hand to grip his own painful. Sir, you're hurting me. And this is where you start to laugh. Smiley reverted, a smile wisp of gas escaping from his glove. The man, inhaling on the colorless odor, he pulling his head back, retrieving his trench coat and sliding it on before closing the briefcase and storing it away in a storage scroll. Shoving the scroll into his pocket, strapping Zabuza's sword to his back, Smiley proceeded to search the man unable to resist. Having found the man's GPS communicator and lit up Carter's hideout like a beacon, Smiley grinned to himself. Pleasure doing business with a chump. He clapped the man on the back before leaving, whistling a small tune to himself, leaving practically unseen. Everyone in the war turned to the man in the corner, who began to unexpectedly laugh, which grew wider and higher until the man fell back into his chair, a permanent grin on his face. The last breath the man drew was the last laugh that left his body. Oh, Gato, you should have never sent pawns to do your dirty work. That is just detestable. Smiley's voice went from cheerful to one filled with malice, before he began to chuckle to himself. That will just make this oh so much more fun. In a quick swirl of purple and green gas, the mercenary was gone, heading towards Garo's hideout. Link break. Kakashi shivered, Asuma catching his ass. What is it? The one-eyed Jonin was currently on crutches, while the two were overseeing Genin's training. Every member of Team 7 and Team 10 were doing the tree walking exercises. Well, every member except for Ino and Sakura, whose chakra reserves were so small that they could obtain the perfect balance of chakra needed to the exercise. So the two Konoichi/fangirls were currently trying their hands at the water walking, only to find out it wasn't as easy as tree climbing. Well, I just got the feeling that things are about to get a lot more complicated than they are needed to be, or at least for Gato, or something like that. The copy ninjas replied shruggingly. Asuma gave a deadpan stare at the cryptic answer to which Kakashi smiled. It's probably nothing. Meanwhile, Ino and Sakura were growing increasingly frustrated with the whole water walking exercises. They could only walk out a few steps only to get submerged within the chilled water, having to go up on the shore and try again. This whole thing is ridiculous. Ino growled out, squeezing water from her hair. You're telling me, pig? Sakura agreed. You're right, I am. Ino replied, sticking her tongue out at the pinkhead. The two quickly butted heads, growling at one another as electricity sparkled between their eyes. Just admit it, billboard bro. Sasuke will never see you, for he only sees me. As if, pig. It's practically the opposite. I mean, I am on his team after all, Sakura reverted. The two breaking apart as they heard clapping to their immediate right. Turning, they two saw the man from before, the laughing gaze. To be honest, girls, you both were very pretty, but I'm rooting for the blondie if either of you have a chance with the emo you're going for. Smiley piped out. But by all means, do continue your little fight. It's very interesting to watch. Ino blushed slightly, only for their training to kick in. Within moments, they had their kunais drawn, sliding into defensive stances. He put his hands in a peaceful gesture. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I merely wish to talk. Well, not so much to you, Pinky. Sakura flushed, growing in anger. And what's wrong with me? Well, you're not my type. Loud, annoying, fawning over someone who won't give a damn about you and give you the time of their day. Smiley ticked off his reasons on his fingers. Yeah, but Inobig does that too, Sakura protested, wondering why he was bantering with them. This is true, Smiley agreed as he nodded, but I actually think she can be changed for the better. If you or her took your training seriously, you guys might actually stand a chance at getting his attention and affection, but enough about that. He quickly appeared behind Sakura and knocked her out, laying her down on the ground gently. Standing back up, he pushed his left arm outwards, deflecting Ino's kunai before putting her in a chokehold, his legs intertwined with hers to keep her from moving. Now, Blondie, keep calm. I merely wish to talk, as I said before. What do you want? Ino gritted out, her teeth clenched. She was in the hands of the enemy, a psychotic enemy who took pleasure in their pain and laughed about it. Well, for one, I wish to know your name. The statement caught her off guard as her eyes widened. Mine? Mine, Smiley. Pleasure to meet you, he said in a cheerful manner. I'm not telling you anything, she whispered out, defiance shining in her eyes. Smiley let out a chuckle in his voice, reaching her ear. It's not nice to be rude. Didn't Mommy and Daddy teach you any manners? He questioned, curiosity in his voice. I'm being completely honest. I wish to know about your name. That's all, because if I remember correctly from my past, despite how fuzzy it may be, I think your name is Ino Yamanaka, correct? How in the hell? She bit her lip, wondering how he knew. Well, you see, I have friends in all sort of places. A small boy you knew, and consider you his one true friend before he was killed. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. You may not remember him at all. You both were 5 at the time, after all. So who would? Anyways, I do believe some boys were picking on you and the pink one, and he helped you out. Ne? Remembered that day as his words reached in her ears. 3 small boys were picking on her and Sakura in the park, and that boy came to defend them, and even getting in a brawl with them. The boy Naruto came up to the top, giving a foxy smile before happily introducing himself to the two. She smiled slightly, remembering his happy attitude. He's dead? She whispered out, frowning suddenly at the rest of his words registered in her mind. Yup, I tried to help the boy. I truly did, but he just didn't want to keep on living. Smiley said sadly with a shrug. He released Ino, stepping back as she turned around to look at him. The purple trench coat from before was gone, replaced with a purple belt. She rose an eyebrow, slightly demanding an explanation as to why he was here. He coughed slightly, clapping his hands together. I have some news that you need to pass on to your teachers, he said after a moment of silence. Which is what? You're going to try to kill the bridge builder? He crossed her arms and asked in a huff. Considering how Gato's man came to me and hired me, I could very well do that. Her eyes widened at his response, her instinct urging her to run. However, I'm not going to, Smiley said with a shrug. Why not? He's paying you, right? She inquired. Oh yes, he is. Quite a huge sum too. But I'm merely going to wait it out. It's obvious what I'm going to do, isn't it? He crossed his arms, his arm muscle and tone not hulking or waning, but strong enough and big enough to get by with. He was toned and lithe, keeping quick on his feet, as most ninja were supposed to be. You're going to betray him, she said, after a moment, the pieces falling into the place. Smiley snapped his fingers and laughed. Bingo, kiddo! Of course! He may be expecting it, but that's besides the point. He's giving me until the end of the week to kill the old man, so I'm giving you all a week to hurry up and finish the damn bridge. On the last day, however, he'll probably send some mercenaries out to this place, to which I will graciously step in and save the day. But on the off chances that he actually goes to the bridge himself with his cornies, I will be willing to strike there as well. Thankfully, I can create multiple copies of myself. Isn't it neat? So many high-star explosions, and all by mere copies. He laughed again, grinning underneath his mask. Shivered slightly at the thought of that. Many smileys before nodding. Thank you for the intel. I will tell my sensei, she confirmed before stepping back slightly. Good. Do so. I will see you in 6 days' time, then. Unless you rather meet me before that. Maybe have a nice little chat over some tea or coffee, he offered, her eyes widened in disbelief. Was the mercenary really asking her to come back to this spot and chat? Was he serious? Then again, he was psychotic, and maybe so he was. She watched as he effortlessly walked out onto the water, holding his own weight above the lake, chuckling. You can do that. Oh yes, I can teach you if you wish. I can teach you quite a tricks of my own as well, he offered, appearing beside her once more. So how about it, Blondie? She contemplated it for a moment, chewing on her lip. I could try to get more information out of him by doing so, and I'm sure that Asuma and Kakashi won't mind, so long I don't try to fraternize with him too much, or potentially try to join him. After a moment she nodded. All right, we'll meet here back tomorrow. Nighttime is good to you, right? It's a date then, he replied cheerfully, and before she could refuse and tell him otherwise, he disappeared. Shook her head, rubbing her temples. Oh, this is going to be good, she muttered to herself. What are you doing? She let out a sigh, watching as Sakura regained consciousness. She turned and started to walk back with her to her senses, intending on telling them what occurred. Link break. So you're telling me that the mercenary known as the Laughing Ace, or as Smiley, wants to meet you tomorrow night for water walking and talking, and you agreed? Kakashi asked seriously, his eyes on her. Yes, I did. I figured it would be a good way to get more information out of him. Besides, look at what he told us so far. Argued. What if he's lying? What if he's leading us, or you, into a trap? Then what, Shikamaru drawled out lazily. Then it will be on me. Crossed her arms, glaring at her teammate. I think there is some truth to his words. I don't know how much, but I think there's some. Asuma rubbed his goatee in thought, exhaling the cigarette smoke that was engulfed in his mouth. I trust you, That's why I'm going to let you do this. Consider this as a test of trust and a B-rat mission. I'll pay you with this as all over this. Kakashi and Team 7, along with Choji and Shikamaru, stared at him in disbelief. Belino merely nodded. Hi, Asuma sensei, he bowed lowly. Thank you for this chance. Don't mention it now. I think we should all hit the hay in preparation for the bridge to be built and Ino's own mission, Asuma said, turning around and walking away, ending the conversation. Kakashi regarded Ino with critical eye before turning away as well. Come on, guys. You heard Asuma. Team 7 left, leaving Shikamaru and Choji alone with Ino. Ino, just be careful, will you? Choji said, staring at his long-lost friend. I'm... don't worry, Choji, I will be fine. Ino nodded with a smile. Her gaze turned to Shikamaru, who was staring at her, analyzing her. Shika, this whole thing is a track, but if it means getting information out of the creep, then do so. But you better be careful. And I mean, be careful. The male said lazily with a small smirk, his older brother mode kicking in. Ino nodded once more with a grin. Team 10 slowly left the area, with the curling blue eyes of a certain mercenary watching the whole scene unfold right before him before he vanished once more. Seems like everything is going according to the plan. Smiling mused to himself, checking his equipment. Grenades, smoke bombs, and laughing gas. Check. Rocket launchers and chakra pills. Check. What else am I forgetting? There's got to be something. Oh, 3 cups of instant trauma. Double check. He let out a small giggle, going to prepare dinner for himself. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And this is a poll of Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.